First tonight, President Zelensky of Ukraine has responded to Vladimir Putin's suggestion of direct talks in Istanbul, saying he was ready to meet the Russian president there in person. Late on Saturday night, President Putin made a rare address to the nation from the Kremlin. He said unexpectedly that Russian-Ukrainian talks should take place in the Turkish city this Thursday. He said that Russia was ready for serious negotiations with Ukraine aimed at moving towards a lasting, strong peace. Mr. Putin said he wanted the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to oversee the negotiations as the search for peace in Ukraine continues. But Mr. Putin did not say that he himself would attend.
Despite everything we proposed, the Kyiv authorities resume the negotiations they interrupted at the end of 2022 to resume direct negotiations, and, I emphasize, without any preconditions. We propose to begin without delay. Next Thursday, May 15th, in Istanbul, where they were held earlier, they were interrupted. We are committed to serious negotiations with Ukraine. Their purpose is to eliminate the root causes of the conflict, to establish a long-term, lasting peace. For historical perspective, we do not rule out that during these negotiations, it will be possible to agree on some new truces, a new ceasefire.
There was a lot of diplomatic work today, both ours with partners and communication between partners in our support. Starting from tomorrow, we expect a ceasefire. The proposal for this is on the table. A complete and unconditional ceasefire, long enough to provide the necessary foundation for diplomacy, could bring peace much closer. I will be in Turkey this Thursday, May 15th. And I expect Putin in Turkey, personally. I hope this time Putin will not look for reasons why he can't do something. We are ready to talk to end the war. Thursday, Turkey. President Trump supported it. All leaders supported it.
President Zelensky and before him President Putin. Well, for more on this, let's speak now to the international affairs analyst, Dr. Laskiewicz, who joins me on the line from London. Good to see you, Dr. Laskiewicz. Mr. Putin apparently very keen to demonstrate to Mr. Trump that he's not the obstacle to peace in Ukraine. But do you think he's serious about this offer of direct talks with Ukraine in Turkey?
The answer is yes, he is trying to impress Donald Trump. And yes, he is serious about meeting Ukraine, but there is a problem. The demands by Russia and the demands by Ukraine are almost incompatible, and therefore quite what such talks would result in is unclear.
And I mean, he's proposing these direct talks as a way of getting to, in his words, to the root causes of the conflict. Do we know what those root causes are? Are they, in a nutshell, that he wants Ukraine to face eastwards and return to Moscow's sphere of influence and away from the West?
In an ideal world, that is indeed what he would want. But judging by everything that Russia has proposed, he is quite willing to accept a halfway house. And the halfway house is that Ukraine is neutered. Moreover, he gets to keep all the territory. And that when I mean neutered, I mean it cannot take arms from the West. It cannot have Western forces stationed on it. And of course, another aspect is there will be no immediate ceasefire as far as he's concerned, nor does he want to face any war crimes trials. So the net effect of it is he would like to conquer Ukraine, or he'd like at least Ukraine to face eastwards, as you put it, but is quite willing to have a neutral Ukraine with its territory or part of its territory in Russian hands.
And I mean, how do you assess the prospects of peace? now, a peace deal, in fact. Do you think these talks about peace can go anywhere?
I don't think there will be a peace immediately. So I don't think the talks will go to the end that Donald Trump would like, or indeed many other people. But there is one interesting aspect. Donald Trump has forced President Zelensky's hand to abandon the 30-day ceasefire. By doing so, he has simultaneously, of course, neutered the European comments that they want to see a 30-day ceasefire, and indeed Germany's recent threats that if there is no ceasefire, it's going to include more sanctions. He has shown that he does not care what the European thinks. And therefore, from that point of view, Zelensky has had to compromise. But, and here is a key point, Russia has compromised to some degree as well. It has always stated that Zelensky has no mandate to negotiate because he's not the real president. And from this point of view, that they're willing to have talks with President Zelensky and his government is actually a compromise by Russia. It's not an overt one, and no one seems to have picked it up, but except here on the rise, of course. But it is an important step. So, a small victory for Donald Trump in the fact that Zelensky is prepared to go, and a victory for the world that the Russians are prepared to at least talk to Zelensky.
And do you think Mr. Putin will be there in person in Istanbul to meet President Zelensky?
I think it's unlikely. When he said direct talks, he did not say personal talks. Now, personal talks would have meant he was going to be there in person, but he didn't say that. What he meant was there are now not via USA, not via a moderator, not by, if you like, communiques issued by one side and the other, but face-to-face talks by representatives of both sides. And therefore, from that point of view, I do not expect him to go. There is, of course, also the security issue of whether he can leave Russia safely to Turkey. And so, on the whole, I expect not. But there will a meeting go ahead on Thursday. I expect that to take place. Yes, I expect there to be a mutual exchange of views, which will be at least the start. But I do not expect them to arrive at any truce now or in the immediate future.
And just to be clear, it is your sense that Ukraine has been essentially forced to attend these talks, and Mr. Zelensky now essentially bowing to anything Mr. Trump says in order not to anger him.
Quite right. I'll go further. President Zelensky, in his threats and his demands, have been simply overridden by Donald Trump. Though this 30-day ceasefire, of which a great deal of brouhaha has been made over the days, in fact months, because he's demanded this 30-day ceasefire for a very, very long time, President Donald Trump simply said he doesn't care about that, and Zelensky should report forthwith at Istanbul. So yes, President Zelensky has had to compromise yet again his own personal views, and from that point of view, it is a success for Donald Trump, but again showing up President Zelensky as a weaker diplomatically now ever since President Donald Trump took office.
And what about the European allies? I mean, where does this leave them after their very firm call for a 30-day ceasefire over the weekend appears to have been ignored?
Precisely. Humiliating, is it not? It shows yet again there is no NATO, there is no united West, and it shows again that President Donald Trump simply does not care what the Europeans say, ignores it entirely, and as far as he's concerned, it just noises off stage. It's very, very clear that President Donald Trump sees his role, his America, and America is the one forcing the issue. And whatever the Europeans turn up in Kiev or Lviv, war crimes, accusations on Russia, or whatever the Europeans do is a matter of total irrelevance to him. A far better humiliation, a far bigger one, can scarcely be imagined diplomatically than what Donald Trump has, for example, done recently.
Dr. Laskiewicz, I want to thank you very much indeed. Dr. Marek Laskiewicz is the International Affairs Analyst who was talking to me on the line.